In Chapter 1, there's a section called Rounding Errors. In Assignment 7, we calculated John O'Neill's PAYE by multiplying his gross pay by 20%. The result of this calculation is 120.208. When this is formatted as currency, it becomes 120.21. Excel has rounded the number up. It adds, or apparently adds, 0.02 to 120.208 to give 120.21. The rounded number is technically incorrect. There's a rounding error of plus 0.002. When formatting numbers to currency, Excel will always round to 2 decimal places. It uses the third number to the right of the decimal place to decide whether to round up or round down. Rounding down. When the third number to the right of the decimal place is 4 or less, Excel will round down the number if it's rounding to 2 decimal places. So 50.754 as inputted looks fine, but if I format it to currency, it will now say 50.75. The rounding error is minus 0.004. You can actually see in the formula bar the number as written in originally, so it looks different to what it actually is. Rounding up. When the third number to the right of the decimal point is 5 or greater, Excel will round up the number. So 53.487. When it's input as general formatting, you can see the whole number. But when you format it to currency, it now looks as if it's saying 53.49. In fact, in the formula bar, you can see it saying 53.487. So it's cutting off the number after the 8. It's looking at the third number and deciding, oh, that's above 5. It's 5 or more, therefore I can't say 48, I have to say 49. And so that's called rounding up. The rounding error is plus 0.003. These rounding up and rounding down rules are universally applied in financial transactions. Rounding errors will also occur when using the percent style button. Numbers will be multiplied by 100 and then rounded to 0 decimal places. So if I input the decimal number 0.2168 and then I use the percent key to show that as percentage, it really should say 21.68%, but it's going to say 22% because there are no decimal places. The rounding error is plus 0.32. However, clicking the increase decimals button once changes the percentage to 21.7, and clicking increase decimals a second time changes the percentage to 21.68%, which is the precise figure. Similarly, 0.8647, when we turn that into a percentage, it really should say 86.47%, but because the percentage button allows for no decimal places initially, it will seem to say 86%, even though in the formula bar you can see quite clearly it's saying 86.47. The rounding error then is minus 47. However, clicking the increase decimals button once changes the percentage to 86.5%, and clicking increase decimals a second time changes the percentage to 86.47. In the examples relating to percentages, there is a discrepancy between cell content and cell display. So again, if this is shown as percent with 0 decimal places, it looks as if it's saying 22 on the cell display, but the cell content is 21.68. Using the percent button converts 0.2168 to 22%, even though the cell display is saying 22%, the 0.268 is actually stored in the cell as a percentage, which is 21.68%. So you have finally a strange situation where you could have 2.3 and 2.4, which when you add together, we know should give us 4.7. So if I do addition there, equal A1 plus A2, my answer is coming up as 4.7, which is perfectly correct. However, if I format those numbers to no decimal places, you now have the strange situation where it looks as if 2 and 2 gives 5. But that 2 isn't really 2, it's 2.3. And that 2 isn't really 2, it's 2.4. So when you add those together, you get 4.7. And since 4.7 is nearer to 5 than it is to 4, the figure is displayed as 5 when you have 0 decimal places. So you may find that you have to increase your number of decimal places to get a more true version of what's happening. But in fact, rounding errors of approximately a cent are not really significant, and